when you were little and your parents were alcoholics and all they did was fight with each other, you put marbles in your bag. And some of those marbles are still there and still active. Not because they need to be, but because you kept repeating them, so you keep them active. Or when you were a little kid and you went to school, you didn't know it, but your teacher had just entered menopause and she was so grouchy and she hated everyone, mostly children. And it was your first encounter with someone outside your family who was shining a spotlight on you, and you put marbles in your bag. And so what we're talking about is this point of attraction that life has caused you to gather up. And so we just want to put this into this conversation lightly here. The atmosphere that you grew up in caused you to put different marbles in your bag than the atmospheres of the kids today. Everybody has their reasons for the way they feel the way they do. And what complicates it is trying to sort it out with each other. You're not even just trying to sort it out with the generations that currently exist. You're trying to sort it out with the generation from which you came a little bit too. We're just going to lay this one sentence platform here. When you reach the place where the sorting out that you're doing is between your bag of marbles and your inner being's bag of marbles, now clarity starts coming to you, and so does empowerment, and so does positive influence. So a lot to think about there. Esther said to someone the other day, you know, when you're in pain, whether it's physical pain or emotional pain, when something's really happening in your life, that's not the time to really try to fix your bag of marbles. Because the law of attraction is responding so powerfully to your point of attraction that there's a headwind coming at you that you can't see past. But it will lift off of you because you don't maintain that specific focus all the time. And when it does lift up off of you, then all the wonderful things that you ask for while you were in pain, that you put into your vortex, that your inner being is now focused upon, when it lifts up off of you because of distraction or whatever, you'll be gathered as a cooperative component into this broader understanding. And oh, that feels so good.
So on the refrigerator it said, in today's world, a woman has to work twice as hard as a man to be considered half as good.
Yeah.
Fortunately,
well,
it isn't difficult. That's what the thing said.
Oh, well, good. So she came around. Fortunately, it isn't difficult. So the plaque that she agreed with stated her dispute. You have to be twice as good and work twice as hard.
Right.
And then revenge came forth, which felt better than the powerlessness. And she took a crack against the dumb, stupid men.
And I was, at 5 years old, one of those dumb, stupid men. So
can you remember how that felt? You probably can't.
I can. I can remember it really well.
How did it feel?
Well, it was a funny thing about
Were you
the household.
old enough to really understand the twisted essence of that?
No, not in its subtlety, but I knew that I was one, or I was going to become one. And I could see how my dad treated her, and I could see how a lot of men treated women, and I thought it just didn't make any sense. And I knew that's not what I wanted to be.
So, the fact that it just didn't make sense, what do you think was at play there? The relationship between you and your inner being was at play there, when that just didn't make any sense. In other words, you could study that your entire life. You could write 500 books yourself or read 5,000 books yourself about it. And you will never sort out the disagreements between men and women, or men and men, or religions and religions, or politicians and politicians, because everybody gets to have their perspective, and everybody gets to play out what the law of attraction brings to that perspective. But also, everybody gets to play out what makes sense and what doesn't, what feels good and what doesn't, what brings clarity and what doesn't, what brings pain and what brings joy. Your guidance system has always been there.